Buongiorno and welcome to Zwift number 55. It's a crit racing club around the Classic. 31 people were signed up, but only 28 I think went over the start line. 4 laps around the Classic, 23.5 kilometres, 210 metres of incline. And if we go through the course, you can see that there's the lead in before going round the loop up the Jarvis KOM, before dropping down the other side and then round through the KOM sprints. Here's a more detailed view of it. That's the KOM in front of us there, as you can see, and then a bit of undulation and then up over that bridge at the top on the right hand side and then drop down towards the Jarvis sprint. And so it's going to be 4 laps around there. So as I said, 29 people actually entered, and we're in the 180 to 350 category. A reasonably steady start from us all. I pushed off up the hill. I've been caught out before going up this hill, so I wanted to get myself into a good position. You can see that the group had already split and we were down to about 15 riders. You can see some of the riders there. JP is just hanging on about 2 seconds behind, but we'll all come back together hopefully. Like I said, this is the lead in before we go around that Classic loop. So yeah, around 15 riders. You can see in the mini map there that there's a few splits already, and you just need to make sure that you're in with that front group right at the start, else you're never going to catch back on. You'll note throughout the race that any of the riders who drop off, like Opadik has just done, he won't therefore now catch back onto us. He's been distanced by 7 seconds. JP, he's dropped off by about 4 seconds, I think it was there. And we'll see if he can come back to us. 7 seconds, sorry. So I'm 11th and there's a few riders behind me. So yeah, like I said, about 15 riders. We had power-ups of the anvil and a feather. Obviously the anvil creates more weight, so allows you to ride faster down hills. The feather does completely opposite. That makes you lighter, and therefore when climbing up hills makes you more efficient, which would suit me. I did seem to get a whole host of unlucky power-ups. Here I've got the feather, and the first thing I want to be doing is using it to go up the Jarvis KOM, but instead I had to use it going down this slight descent here, and the anvil's time that it's in effect for is very short anyway, so it didn't really benefit me that much. So I was back in 14th then with one rider behind me, so 15 riders here. Somebody on the Tron bike, Pro Cycling PR, he went off for a few seconds out the front, and I just wanted to make sure I was up with it. But I'm also coming off the back of a win that I've not had for a very long time, so used a different strategy for that race, and that was to try and create a breakaway a couple of kilometres away from the end and then just try and hang on. So I was very conscious of wanting to do the same here. I've just gone through another power up and got another anvil, which isn't helpful because we're about to start the KOM, but I'm up off the front. I've got Andy Ebage close by. Pro Cycling PR goes back off the front again, and I just want to be covering all these attempted breakaways. If that's what they are, they might just be bursts of speed. But I was also conscious that by being up off the front and forcing the pace slightly, it might create that same scenario where we're dropping a few riders, and this is the most likely place to be dropping them on this KOM. So you saw me put a bit of a burst in. Obviously don't want to be using my anvil up here because that will be counterproductive completely. So yeah, just riding up here now. I'm in a good position. There's a few riders around me like JRS and a think it was Robbie. Yeah, Robbie Parker. And comes up on his next to his name that he's had a hip replacement. So I can only imagine that that hip replacement was done some time ago, because he appears to be quite powerful going up here. So all the best with your recovery. But here we go, back up the hill. We're just starting to plateau off now. Slight descent here before we go up over the last part of the climb, which is up through a bridge or over a bridge, and then you'll see the KOM banner in the distance coming up. So 10th position. It now looks like only one rider's behind me. We've got Johan Backenstead. He's been distanced from the group as we've gone up the climb. Pro Cycling's at the back of this group, and I put another burst of power in, which I'm finding the most effective way of getting up these inclines. So dropping down the other side, this is an opportunity to take a breather. You can see my average watts is really high at 266, so I will ease off shortly. I do tend to pedal firmly as we come off the descent, making sure that I don't get lost on any breakaway and any drafting that's going ahead. So I found myself at the front there for a few seconds, but here we go. We're in a group now of, I would imagine, about 10. Again, Johan Backenstead, he's 8 seconds behind, and we've also got R. Blacker, who's now 4 seconds behind. But yeah, there's a good group of riders here now, pushing along nice and firmly, waiting to see what power up I get as we head towards the KOM. And I think this was the first time I actually got a power up that I wanted and got the feather. So hoping that I'll be able to use that to good effect going up the KOM. So here we go, back up the KOM. I was at the back for a few seconds, which is not really where I wanted to be. So just power up, get up out of the seat and power up through that first incline before it flattens out and I can ease off slightly. I'm able to pop my feather. In an ideal world, my feather would last over these 2 orange inclines that you can see on the mini map in front of us, but it only works for one of them, so I was choosing to use it on the longer incline, with it running out before I get onto the second one. But plenty of power as I go up here. Average watts is still up around 260, which I wouldn't expect to see. That's high for me. And just keeping up out the seat, not pushing too hard on the pedals, not really putting in a massive burst, but just increasing the speed and increasing the power as we go in up towards the Banjo Cafe. You can see that going up that incline, we've distanced ourselves from Pro Cycling PR by a few seconds, and also just in front of him is Leslie Coivers from Belgium, who's now 4 seconds back. I'm at the back of this group. I've had to ease off just as we get to this flat section on top, slight downhill coming up before the final bit of incline before we drop right down the other side. So pleased with how it's going, although I am putting in a huge amount of effort, but I'm starting to understand that I can put this effort in and recover, and by putting that effort in, it allows me to stay with this front group, which is obviously key to a good finish. So 8 riders now. I think we are down to. It's always difficult because the position that you're being told that you are in on the race, which is now saying I'm fourth. Well, it's flicking all the time, but I'm seventh and sixth there. But look, I'm fifth. There's an example. I'm fifth there, but there's 5 riders ahead of me. Obviously, clearly, it's going to say I'm first now, but it's always a tricky thing to try and calculate. But I think we're down to 8 riders. There's 3 gone past me, 4, 5, 6 riders gone past me. So that means there's 7 of us there, but I'm sure there's somebody else as well with us. So down to the final 2 laps. Average watts 252. I've got a feather to go up the KOM, so that's good, but I am working hard, and that thought process of producing a breakaway is not really going to be something I'm going to manage because I'm just holding on really. So I'm looking at the positions on the right hand side now, and that 8th rider who I thought was up with us was actually J. Orris, which is probably pronounced Joris, but he's been distanced over the last minute or so, and by a considerable amount really. He's back down to 16 seconds behind us. So 7 of us left, 2 laps to go, just about to go up the KOM with the feather. I'll be working hard up the hill again, making sure that I can stay with everybody, but not really in a position that I'm going to push away and work to get away from the rest of the group. So I've been able to put plenty of power in again, going up the hill, but I'm getting past now. Hans Boas has already gone past, as has Irvan Kaiser and quite a few of the other ones, Robbie Parker, who I mentioned earlier on. So, yeah, there's plenty of riders here. Thomas Michaels on the far side, and there goes Andy Abarge as well. So, yeah, just powering up, making sure I don't get distance. Feel okay. I am working hard. You can still see my average watts is well over 250. So that would be a really good result for me, as in power-wise, not position-wise. If I'm able to maintain anything over 250 watts. So being able to get a nice little breather in here as we drop it onto the bridge and go up the final ascent before one last lap around the Classic. So no one dropped that time round. You can see the 6 riders in front of me. A couple of them popping their anvils to increase their weight so that they can go quicker down the hill. So obviously a good group of riders here, and it's unlikely that anybody's going to be doing a breakaway, or I'm certainly not going to be able to manifest a breakaway at this point. So let's just see what happens going forward. We've only got 6.2 kilometres to go. We've been riding for 28.5 minutes, and I feel really good. Although the average watts is dropping, it's probably not something I would have chosen to do, but it's always better to finish with more power. But on this occasion, it appears that I've expended all my energy, and now I'm just trying to hang on to the end. So 1 lap to go shortly, and then we'll see what happens. So here we go, inside the last 5 kilometres. There's likely to be a push here by somebody. I start the first of the slight inclines with plenty of power, but I know all the rest of the riders are close behind me. I can see them on the right hand mini-map. First one to go past me is Robbie Parker. He's being followed by Hans Bauer. So see how they get on. I put another burst in again, not to try and break away or anything, but just to hopefully stay with the pack. So this time it's Thomas Michaels who's gone past me. You can see that he's bursting some numbers. Robbie Parker's put in plenty of power as well. So I've got 5 riders, all 6 riders have gone past me at this point. I've got Irvan Kayser just in front of me. Willie Keeble's pushing away as well, and I'm starting to get distance now, and it's looking like I'm not going to be able to catch hold of them. Average watts is good, it's still 248, so I'm recognising that despite the fact that I'm getting dropped on this final ascent, I've put in a good effort, and I'm pleased with how I've got on. But you can see now that Ivan Kayser's 6 seconds ahead. Andy Ebarge, he's 9 seconds, 10 seconds now with Willie Keeble. But just ahead of them is Thomas Michaels and Hans Bauer and Robbie Parker. So just as we head up to the top, I can see that Van Kayser, I'm slightly gaining on him. He was 8 seconds ahead of me. I've just pulled him back from 7 to 6, now to 5 seconds. So I put a bit of a burst in over the top of this hill. I can see him gaining, and I know that my power is being used efficiently. So I just try and tag onto his tail here. I did think for a second whether I should go for the rider in front. But then I realised actually it was a back marker, so I didn't bother doing that. Van Kayser drops his anvil, so I need to keep the power up. I've also dropped mine, which allows me to just sit on his tail there. And I think as we get on this corner here, I dropped some power in an attempt to try and distance myself from him. Yeah, 440 watts, just a little bit of a push. With the idea of getting myself away from him, but he's very switched on to it. He gets back on my tail and just sits back and drafts, so I ease off completely. We've only got 1 kilometre to go. I know that I haven't got much power in my legs. I can see the rest of the riders in front of me. Hans Bauer is out in the lead at the moment. Robbie Parker's chasing him down, and Thomas Michaels is just behind him, but I can also see that there he is, there's Hans Bauer there. We're riding with him towards the end. Robbie Parker, you can see, is still in 2nd place, but he gets past, and he ends up getting 3rd, and Thomas Michaels comes over in 4th. So then we had Willie Keeble after that, and then the Ebarge, and I try and follow all the rest of the riders across the line. There's Van Kayser, he put a burst in there. I thought I was too busy watching the camera really and watching all the different angles to put in an effort, but I eventually came over the line in 7th, which I'm quite pleased with. And we'll just go through the rest of those positions now properly. So here it is, first over the line, Hans Bauer in 37 minutes 54 seconds, averaging 3 watts. Then Thomas Michaels, 2.5 seconds behind, followed by Robbie Parker, who was just under 4 seconds behind, averaging 3.2 watts. Then we had Willie Keeble, 22 seconds back, followed by Andy Ebarge in 5th, who was 7 seconds further behind than that. Then we had Irvan Kayser, who finished just ahead of me, 43 seconds behind the leader, averaging 2.8 watts. And then myself in 7th, averaging 2.6 watts, just 2 seconds behind Kayser. Then Pro Cycling was further minute behind me. And then we had Johan Bankstead, Leslie Coivers, and Josh Jarrett. So an enjoyable ride, not a bad effort. I've been off the bike for a week, ended up getting a bit of a bad back after lifting a lawnmower, and haven't been able to walk properly. So getting on the bike was certainly out of the question, but back on it today and reasonable effort today. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and catch you all again soon.